If you know little about fashion styling, you could probably distinguish a plaid shirt from a solid one. Plaid is colorful, distinct, and memorable, especially depending on the colors. Its impact goes beyond just appearance. There's more to discuss about that. There are so few patterns that have a reputation like plaid. That reputation comes from its heritage that has spanned multiple centuries and continents. It's an old pattern, but that hasn't stopped it from being relative in our lives today. It's been seen by anyone with an appreciation of its versatility. In fact, it's probably easier to name the groups that haven't worn plaid at least once. It's everywhere in the world. I think objectivity is the best policy, but I'm going to make a subjective statement that plaid is the most contested pattern in existence. People either really love it or really hate it. I'm going to make my stance clear on the side of the fence I fall on. Ever since I laid my eyes on this fabric, I was taken by its hypnotic horizontal and vertical stripes. It's my favorite pattern, and I feel it's time to give it a well-deserved look at how it's been used in men's clothing. Disclaimer time. Upon researching the history of plaid, I discovered that the term plaid and tartan are often used interchangeably. However, in this brief history section, I will be referring to tartan only as a specific type of plaid originating in Scotland. I will also be discussing madras as it does pertain to the historical discussion of plaid fabric as a trade commodity. Plaid can be traced all the way back to the ancient Celts. The Celts were widespread across Western Europe to Asia Minor. In fact, the term plaid comes from the Gaelic word plaid, meaning blanket. The Celts would dye the fabric using plants and serve to indicate a person's region or status within their clan, giving plaid its distinctive colors. Something I asked myself was, how did plaid reach countries like India with madras, a type of plaid, if it's closely associated with Scotland? That's over 4,000 miles apart by flying. During the 17th century, the British East India Company established a post in the city of Madras, or present-day Chennai. The British monarchy stationed Scottish troops there, and the colorful tartans of the troops are believed to influence the local population. The only difference is that instead of a heavy wool, it was a lightweight cotton cloth. It became so popular that it even became a popular export out of India, seeing lots of wear in the Caribbean since it's hot in that tropical paradise. By the 18th century, clans and their tartans would be seen commonly in the highlands of Scotland. They too followed the Celts' influence in having the tartans symbolize clan identity. You wouldn't know this unless you're on the other side of the pond, but there was a time when plaid was banned for a little over 36 years. The aftermath of the Battle of Culloden in 1746 left the British monarchy victorious against the Scottish uprising of 1745. The Scottish were banned from wearing their tartans unless in military uniform, as it became a sign of rebellion against British rule. Which, if you think about that, I do not know why you would want your soldiers openly wearing anti-authority symbols in any case, especially since the military is big against that with its hierarchy of command. Something of a trend for the pattern that we will see again later on. The ban was repealed in 1782 as tartans became a unifying emblem of Scottish heritage. Anywhere the Scottish went, plaid would follow. Plaid would come to America during the mid to late 19th century as Scottish immigrants settled in America. By the mid 20th century, there is an explosion of plaid across many facets of American culture. From Ivy Leaguers and preps to Beach Boys sporting plaid, plaid became the face of fashion. From 1960 onward, plaid continued to dominate the fashion zeitgeist of Americans. There are many notable groups that are often associated with plaid in their outfits. It can even be seen as a foundational staple of their attire. First up, let's follow up on the preps mentioned earlier. The preps have a lot of foundational heritage from the northeastern half of the United States and Europe, mostly the British. Now, when you see preps wearing plaids and checks, you will know where that attire came from. Why did the preps adopt plaid as an article of clothing? The preppy subculture in general is very athletic rooted and focused. I'm talking about traditional sports you would see, such as horseback riding, rowing, golf, and tennis. All the sports that you think of when you think of your dad or granddad liking. A typical prep will be seen wearing plaid in one of many ways. A pair of plaid shorts or pants, a plaid tie, or the infamous plaid jacket, usually in madras or tweed. On the opposite end of the formality scale outside the city limits, you will find the rural country folk, the cowboys, the farmers, and the working man. Plaid is a practical pattern since, for many tradesmen, getting dirty is inevitable, and plaid can hide stains. Well, maybe not this. It's a dirty job and someone's gotta do it. How they like to wear plaid is with a dress shirt or a heavy flannel with a plaid pattern. Now onto the subculture that I relate to the most, the punks. Punks are some of the most expressive people out there, both verbally and physically. The punk and grunge scene is literally about self-expression and anti-authority/establishment. Where have I heard that one before? Creating chaos and putting their emotions, mostly rage, towards the establishment? It even gets better, since what bands are associated with early punk? English. Where does plaid originate? In Scotland, which is in the United Kingdom. Ain't that something? You can expect that the average punk will wear plaid flannels, unbuttoned with a band t-shirt, and skate shoes or boots. I know that red tartan pants are associated with punks, but I've never seen someone who's in my age bracket wear them. I mentioned earlier that plaid is a polarizing pattern to some. I think I know the reason. I mean, wow. That is colorful, alright. In the modern contemporary color scheme of menswear, it can be seen that solids and a monotone palette of cool colors have become the staple. The issue arises with plaid. To some, its boldness may compromise their personal aesthetic, opting instead for the more subdued window panes or checks, which sometimes get lumped in as a plaid-like pattern. I like color in my outfits. Then again, looking like a 1920s jazz painting may not be everyone's desired aesthetic. There are muted plaids, as seen in the 1960s with suits like those pictured here, but I would argue that to get the most out of plaid is to embrace its heritage of colorful contrast. I find it fascinating, and a bit ironic, that people will drop a year's salary on high-end clothes and jewelry to impress others, but feel too insecure to wear a bold plaid pattern. This behavior is a clear sign of a lack of genuine self-confidence. They are so focused on a safe aesthetic that is validated by others that they push aside their own personal taste. Or they do a Dunning-Kruger, not knowing how to style it, and double down by wearing too much plaid. Real confidence, after all, comes from dressing for yourself, not for someone else. How do you wear plaid in a way that isn't flamboyant, flaunting? Here is my suggestion on what works best for me. Plaid is best paired with solids to give it that contrast and pop that you're desiring for your outfit. You do not want to have a plaid overload by wearing more than one type of plaid accessory, as well as other plaids of different sizes in your outfit. If you're going to wear plaid, you should pick one article that should be the highlight, so a jacket, a shirt, or a tie. The bigger the size of the plaid, the more of a statement it will make. It's quite the balancing act between attention-seeking and nonchalant personal affirmation, aka confidence. Love it or hate it, it's hard to dismiss the versatility of plaid. It is one of the oldest surviving patterns that is still being made and worn. Centuries of people have come to call it their own. To wear plaid confidently means being comfortable with yourself and around others. It's a statement fabric that both novices and adepts can appreciate using in their outfits.